The red warning lights flashed across Marcus Chen's face as he ran through the corridors of Station Omega-7. The alarm was loud and sharp, cutting through the night air like a knife. His boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor as he rushed to the equipment bay. "Fire approaching from the east," the computer voice said over and over. "All personnel evacuate immediately." Fire approaching from the east. Marcus grabbed his toolkit and headed for the storage rooms. He was the night maintenance engineer, which meant he was the only person left on the station. Everyone else had left 3 hours ago when the first fire warnings came in. But someone needed to save the important equipment before the flames reached the buildings. The forest fire had started 2 days ago. Lightning had struck the dry trees near the mountains, and the wind had spread the flames fast. On this planet, Kepler 442c, the trees burned differently than on Earth. They contained gases that made the fire burn hotter and move faster. The flames were already 20 feet tall and growing. Marcus worked quickly in the storage room. He packed the most expensive tools and machines into metal boxes. The computer systems, the medical supplies, the communication equipment, everything had to be saved. The company had spent millions of credits on this terraforming project. They would be very angry if he let everything burn. The smell of smoke was getting stronger. Marcus looked out the window and saw orange light dancing between the trees. The fire was close now, maybe half a mile away. He had maybe 30 minutes before it reached the station. He carried the first box of equipment to the landing pad, where the emergency shuttle waited. The pilot had left him the keys and told him to get out as soon as possible. "Don't be a hero," the pilot had said. "Nothing is worth dying for." But Marcus kept working. He went back for more equipment, then more. The smoke was getting thicker now, and he had to cover his mouth with his shirt. His eyes were starting to water. The fire was getting very close. On his fourth trip to the storage room, he heard something strange. It was not the sound of burning wood or falling trees. It was a cry, like an animal in pain. But it was different from any animal sound he had ever heard. It was higher, more musical, and it seemed to come from everywhere at once. Marcus stopped walking. He listened carefully. There it was again. A long, sad cry that made his heart hurt. Something was alive out there in the fire, and it was suffering. He looked toward the landing pad where the shuttle waited for him. He could leave right now. He had saved most of the equipment. The company would understand. No one would blame him for running from a forest fire. It was the smart thing to do. The cry came again, weaker this time. Marcus dropped his toolkit and ran to the equipment room. He found the emergency thermal suit hanging on the wall. It was designed to protect workers from the hot gases that came out of the terraforming machines. The suit could protect someone from temperatures up to 2,000 degrees for about 20 minutes. He put on the suit as fast as he could. The heavy material made it hard to move, and the helmet made everything look yellow. But he could breathe, and the suit would keep him alive in the fire. Marcus ran outside into the night. The heat hit him immediately, even through the protective suit. The air itself seemed to be burning. Trees exploded around him as the fire consumed them. The sound was like thunder that never stopped. He followed the crying sound deeper into the forest. Burning branches fell around him. The ground was so hot that his boots started to smoke. But he kept walking toward the sound. Then he saw it. The creature was about the size of a large dog, but it looked nothing like any animal Marcus had ever seen. Its body was almost see-through, like it was made of glass or crystal. Strange lights moved under its skin, pulsing like a heartbeat. But the lights were getting dimmer as Marcus watched. The creature's shell was cracked and broken from the heat. Some kind of liquid was leaking out of the cracks. The liquid glowed with a soft blue light, before it disappeared into the burning ground. The creature's body was twisted in pain, and it made that same musical cry, but much weaker now. Marcus had no idea what it was. It was not in any of the databases he had studied. It might be dangerous, It might carry diseases. It might attack him if he got too close. But it was dying. And it was alone. And it was afraid. Marcus reached down and picked up the creature. It was heavier than he expected, and very hot even through his gloves. The creature looked up at him with eyes that seemed to be made of liquid silver. For a moment, it stopped crying. "It's okay," Marcus said, though he knew the creature probably could not understand him. The walk back to the station was the longest 20 minutes of Marcus's life. The fire was everywhere now. Trees fell across his path. The ground cracked open, releasing hot gases that made his suit's warning systems scream. But he held the creature carefully and kept walking. When he finally reached the station, Marcus ran straight to the medical bay. He put the creature on the examination table and started the cooling systems. He did not know if cold would help or hurt the creature, but he had to try something. The creature's lights were almost gone now. Its breathing was very shallow. Marcus worked through the night, trying everything he could think of to save this strange being that he had pulled from the fire. Marcus woke up with his face pressed against the cold metal table in the medical bay. His neck was stiff, and his back ached from sleeping in the chair all night. The first thing he noticed was the silence. The fire alarms had stopped. The emergency lights were no longer flashing red. He sat up slowly and rubbed his eyes. Sunlight was coming through the small window, which meant morning had come. The fire must have passed by the station during the night, or maybe the emergency crews had put it out. Then Marcus remembered the creature. He turned to look at the examination table where he had left the dying being. His heart stopped. A person was lying there. A human person. Marcus jumped up from his chair so fast that it fell over. He stared at the table, trying to understand what he was seeing. The crystal creature was gone. In its place was a young man who looked to be about Marcus's age. He had pale skin and dark hair, and he was completely naked. But that was not the strangest part. The man's face looked familiar. Not exactly like Marcus, but similar. The same nose shape. The same chin. The same brown eyes. It was like looking at a brother he had never known he had. "This is impossible," Marcus said out loud. His voice sounded very loud in the quiet room. The man on the table opened his eyes. They were the exact same shade of brown as Marcus's eyes. The man sat up slowly and looked around the room. His movements were careful and strange, like he was learning how to use his body for the first time. Then the man looked directly at Marcus and smiled. "Thank you, Marcus Chen," the man said. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. The voice was his own voice, not similar to his voice, but exactly the same. Every tone, every accent, every small way that Marcus spoke. It was like listening to a recording of himself. "How do you know my name?" Marcus asked. His hands were shaking now. "What happened to the creature? Where did you come from?" The man tilted his head, like he was listening to something Marcus could not hear. "I am the creature," he said. "I am also not the creature. I am something new now." Marcus backed away from the table. This was not possible. People did not just change from one thing into another, and they certainly did not learn someone's name and voice just by being rescued by them. "You are scared," the man said. He stood up from the table, moving more smoothly now. "Stay back," Marcus said. He reached for the emergency alarm button on the wall. "Please do not call for help," the man said. "They will not understand. They will try to hurt me, and they will hurt you too." Marcus stopped with his hand halfway to the button. "How do you know that?" The man walked closer. Marcus noticed that he was exactly the same height as Marcus, and his feet were the same size. Even his walk was starting to look like Marcus's walk. "I know many things now," the man said. "I know that you grew up on Earth in a city called San Francisco. I know that you miss the ocean there, and the sound of the waves. I know that you became an engineer because you wanted to help build new worlds for people to live on." Marcus felt sick. Those were private thoughts, personal memories. He had never told anyone about missing the ocean, not even his family. I know that you are afraid of small spaces because you got trapped in a closet when you were 6 years old, the man continued. I know that you dream about having a dog. But the company does not allow pets on the station. I know that you call your mother every Sunday. But you have not told her that you are lonely here. Stop, Marcus said. His voice was barely a whisper. How can you know all that? The man sat down on the edge of the examination table. Now that he was sitting, he looked less threatening. He looked sad. When you pulled me from the fire, he said, something happened that has never happened before. You did not know what I was, but you saved me anyway. You risked your life for a creature you had never seen. That act of kindness created a connection between us. What kind of connection? I absorbed your memories, the man said simply. Not just your memories, but your feelings, your way of thinking, your personality. I became part you, but I am also still part me. Marcus sat down in his chair again. His legs felt weak. What are you? Go. Go. My people are called the Resonari, the man said. We are very few now. Most other species in the galaxy have tried to kill us when they learned what we do. They think we are parasites or thieves. They do not understand that we do not take anything from you. We become like you because we want to honor those who show us kindness. You copied me. I became connected to you. There is a difference. The man leaned forward. I have my own thoughts and feelings too. But now, I also have yours. I know what it feels like to be human because you showed me humanity. Marcus looked at this strange being who wore his face and spoke with his voice. What do you want from me? Oh, I want to understand, the man said. My people have been running and hiding for so long, but you did something no one else has ever done. You saved me, without asking for anything in return. You did not even know if I was intelligent or just an animal, but you risked everything to help me. The man stood up again and walked to the window. The morning sun made his skin glow slightly, and for just a moment, Marcus could see hints of the crystal creature underneath. I need to learn about humans, the man said. I need to understand why you are different from all the other species we have met. Why you choose to help instead of hurt. Why you care about things that have nothing to do with your own survival. Marcus was quiet for a long time. He looked at this being who had his face and his voice and his memories. It should have been terrifying. It should have been wrong. But instead, Marcus felt something else. What should I call you? Marcus asked. The man turned away from the window and smiled. It was Marcus's smile, but somehow different, warmer. I do not have a name in the way humans do, he said. But I like the sound of your voice when you speak. Maybe you could call me Echo. Echo, Marcus repeated. That fits. Outside, they could hear the sound of aircraft approaching. The rescue teams were coming to check on the station after the fire. They will be here soon, Echo said. And when they see me, they will know what I am. They will try to separate us. Or worse. Marcus looked at Echo. Then at the approaching aircraft. Then back at Echo. For the second time in 12 hours, Marcus Chen had to make a choice between safety and compassion. And for the second time, he chose compassion. Marcus quickly found some spare clothes for Echo from his personal locker. The clothes fit perfectly, which was both helpful and disturbing. Echo put them on with careful movements, like he was still learning how human bodies worked. The sound of the rescue aircraft was getting louder. They would land in just a few minutes. We need to hide you, Marcus said. There's a maintenance tunnel that leads to the old storage building. No one ever goes there. Echo shook his head. Running will only make them more suspicious. and I cannot hide what I am forever. They will discover the truth, eventually. Then what do we do? First, you need to understand what you have done, Echo said, and what it means for both of our species. Marcus sat down and listened. Outside, he could hear the aircraft landing on the pad. The Resonari have existed for thousands of years. Echo began. We are explorers, but not in the way other species explore. We do not just visit new worlds. We experience them by connecting with the intelligent life we find there. You mean you copy them? Not copy, connect. Echo sat across from Marcus. When a Resonari bonds with another being, we do not steal their identity. We create something new. A bridge between two different kinds of life. Echo's face changed slightly as he spoke. For a moment, his features looked less like Marcus and more like something else. Something ancient and sad. Long ago, we believed this was a gift. Echo continued. We thought other species would welcome us. We could help them understand each other, translate between different ways of thinking, solve conflicts that came from misunderstanding. But they didn't welcome you. No. The first species we met was called the Krathari. They were warriors, very proud of their strength and independence. When they saw what we could do, they called us soul thieves. They believed we were stealing their essence, making them less than they were. Marcus heard voices outside. The rescue team was checking the equipment areas first, but they would come to the medical bay soon. The Krathari started hunting us, Echo said. They told other species that we were dangerous parasites. Soon, everyone we met tried to kill us on sight. We had to hide, to run, to avoid contact with anyone. How many of you are left? Echo's expression became very sad. Maybe 100. Scattered across the galaxy, alone, afraid to approach anyone. Most of us have not bonded with another being in decades. We are slowly dying out. But you bonded with me. Yes, and that should have been impossible. Echo leaned forward, and his eyes seemed to glow slightly. Resonari bonding usually takes months or years. It happens gradually, as we learn to trust each other. But what happened between us was different. Marcus thought about the night before. The fire, the dying creature. His decision to risk everything to save it. When you pulled me from the fire, Echo said, you were not thinking about what I might be able to give you. You did not want anything from me. You just saw a living being in pain, and you decided to help, even though it might cost you your life. Anyone would have done the same thing. Echo smiled sadly. No, Marcus, they would not. I have watched other species for a very long time. Most of them would have left me in the fire. Even if they wanted to help, they would have calculated the risks first. They would have wondered if I was dangerous, or if saving me would benefit them somehow. There was a knock on the medical bay door. Chen, you in there? A voice called. It was Commander Vasquez, from the rescue team. Just a minute. Marcus called back. He looked at Echo. What makes humans different? You act with your hearts before your minds. Echo said quietly. Other species think that makes you weak or foolish. But it makes you capable of things they could never do. True compassion, real sacrifice, genuine kindness to strangers. The knocking came again, louder this time. Marcus Chen. This is Commander Vasquez. Open this door immediately. We need to check on your condition after the fire. Echo stood up. When they see me, they will run a genetic scan. They will discover I am not human. Then, they will compare me to the galactic database of known species. Will they find information about the Resonari? Yes. And when they do, they will follow protocol. The Galactic Council has classified my people as a memetic hazard. That means I am to be destroyed on sight, and anyone who has been in contact with me must be quarantined and examined. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. They'll kill you? They will try. and they will blame you for allowing the contamination to occur. Your life, your career, everything you care about will be destroyed. The door shook as someone tried to force it open. Chen! Marcus looked at Echo, then at the door. Echo could have hidden, could have pretended to be human, could have lied to save himself. Instead, he had chosen to be honest, even though it put him in terrible danger. Just like Marcus had chosen to run into the fire, even though it put him in terrible danger. There's still time, Marcus said. I could tell them I never found anything in the fire. You could change back, or become someone else. I cannot change back, Echo said, and I will not become someone else. What happened between us is too important to hide. What do you mean? Echo walked to Marcus and put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. For the first time in centuries, a Resonari has bonded with someone who truly understands what kindness means. You have shown me what my people have been searching for all this time. The door burst open. Commander Vasquez entered with 2 soldiers behind her. She was a tall woman with gray hair and hard eyes. She looked around the medical bay, then focused on Marcus. Chen, are you hurt? We saw the thermal suit was used. Did you go out in the fire? Marcus looked at Echo, who nodded slightly. Yes, Commander, Marcus said. I heard something crying in the flames. I went to investigate. And what did you find? Marcus took a deep breath. For the 3rd time in less than a day, he had to choose between safety and doing what he believed was right. I found him, Marcus said, pointing to Echo. Commander Vasquez looked at Echo for the first time. Her eyes narrowed as she studied his face. Identify yourself, she said to Echo. Echo stood straight and looked directly at the commander. I am a Resonari, he said calmly. And Marcus Chen saved my life. The commander's face went white. She reached for her weapon. Step away from the alien, Chen, she ordered. That's a direct order. Marcus moved to stand between Echo and the soldiers. No, he said. Commander Vasquez had her weapon pointed at Echo, but Marcus was standing in the way. The 2 soldiers behind her also drew their guns, but they looked uncertain. They had never seen a Resonari before, and Echo looked completely human. Chen, get out of the way, the commander said. Her voice was hard and cold. That creature is classified as a galactic threat. It has infected your mind. You are not thinking clearly. He hasn't infected anything, Marcus said. He did not move away from Echo. He's just different. It's a shapeshifter and a mind parasite, Vasquez said. It has copied your appearance and stolen your memories. Everything it says or does is designed to manipulate you. Behind Marcus, Echo spoke quietly. She is not wrong about what I have done, but she is wrong about why I did it. Shut up, Vasquez snapped at Echo. Don't say another word. Commander, Marcus said. You need to listen to me. He's not dangerous. He saved my life just as much as I saved his. That's the infection talking, Chen. The creature has altered your brain chemistry. You cannot trust your own thoughts right now. One of the soldiers, a young man with nervous eyes, stepped forward. Commander, maybe we should call for specialists. The medical team could examine both of them safely. Negative, Vasquez said. Protocol is clear. Immediate termination of the threat, followed by quarantine of any exposed personnel. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. Protocol? This is a living, intelligent being we're talking about. It's a monster that wears the faces of its victims, the commander said. How many people do you think it killed to learn how to look human? 0, Echo said simply. I have never killed anyone. None of my people have. I told you to be quiet, Vasquez said. She adjusted her aim, trying to get a clear shot around Marcus. Marcus spread his arms wider, making sure he blocked Echo completely. Commander, I'm asking you to stand down. Give me 5 minutes to explain what really happened. You have been compromised, Chen. I cannot trust anything you say. Wait, the nervous soldier said. Commander, if Chen has been infected, shouldn't we capture the alien alive? Study it? Learn how the infection works? Vasquez glared at him. The infection works by making people think they should study it instead of destroying it. That's exactly what it wants. Marcus realized that no amount of talking would change the commander's mind. She had already decided that Echo was evil, and Marcus was contaminated. There was no evidence, no argument, no logic that would convince her otherwise. Echo, Marcus said quietly, is there another way out of here? The maintenance shaft behind the equipment cabinet leads to the ventilation system, Echo replied, but you would have to give up everything. Your career? Your life here? You're standing with your own species. My species doesn't shoot innocent people, Marcus said. Some of them do, Echo said sadly. Commander Vasquez was losing patience. Final warning. Chen, step aside, or we will move you aside. Marcus looked at the soldiers. They were just following orders, but they looked uncomfortable. The nervous one, especially, seemed unsure about the whole situation. Sergeant Morrison, Marcus said to the nervous soldier, you've worked with me for 2 years. Do I seem crazy to you? Do I seem infected? Morrison looked back and forth between Marcus and the commander. No, sir. You seem normal. Maybe a little tired, but normal. Morrison, Vasquez snapped. Do not engage with the contaminated personnel. But Morrison kept talking. Commander, what if Chen is right? What if the alien really is peaceful? Then it will die peacefully. Vasquez said. She raised her weapon higher. That was when Echo made his decision. He stepped out from behind Marcus, putting himself directly in the line of fire. Do not blame Marcus for this, he said to the commander. He was trying to do what he thought was right. Echo, no. Marcus reached for him. But Echo was already moving. The Resonari's body began to change. His skin became more translucent, and the crystal patterns from his original form started to show through. But he did not change back completely. Instead, he became something between human and alien. Something beautiful and strange. The soldiers stepped back in shock. Even Commander Vasquez hesitated for a moment. I am not your enemy, Echo said. His voice was still Marcus's voice. But it had an odd musical quality now. I did not steal anything from Marcus. He gave me the gift of understanding what it means to be human. 1. Fire, Vasquez ordered. But before anyone could shoot, Echo moved faster than anyone expected. He was not running away from the weapons. He was running toward them. Echo grabbed the commander's gun and crushed it with his bare hand. Then, he did the same to the other 2 weapons. But he did not hurt the soldiers. He was very careful not to cause them any harm. Run, Marcus, Echo said. Now. Marcus did not want to leave Echo behind, but he understood that this was the only chance they would have. He grabbed his emergency kit and ran for the maintenance shaft. Behind him, he could hear Commander Vasquez shouting into her radio. Security alert! Hostile alien loose in the medical bay. All units respond immediately. Marcus crawled through the ventilation system as fast as he could. The metal tunnels were narrow and dark, but he knew the station better than anyone. He could reach the old storage building without being seen. A few minutes later, Echo caught up with him. The Resonari was back to looking completely human, but his clothes were torn and he had some cuts on his hands. Are you hurt? Marcus asked. I will heal, Echo said. But we do not have much time. They will seal the station and search every room. Marcus led the way to the storage building. It was old and mostly empty, but it had a small shuttle that the company used for local surveys. Marcus had been maintaining it. so he knew it worked. "Can you fly one of these?" he asked Echo. "I can learn," Echo said. He put his hand on the control panel, and his fingers began to glow slightly. After a moment, he nodded. "Yes, I understand how it works now." Marcus started the engine while Echo sealed the building's doors from the inside. They could hear aircraft circling overhead, searching for them. "Where can we go?" Marcus asked. "They'll track us wherever we fly." Echo looked at him with those familiar brown eyes. "There are places in the galaxy where people like us can go. Places where other humans have chosen to protect Resonari instead of destroying them." "Other humans?" "A few. Not many, but enough." Echo smiled. "It seems that every species produces some individuals who choose compassion over fear. For humans, there are more of these individuals than any other species we have known." Marcus started the shuttle's engines. Outside, he could hear Commander Vasquez's voice over a loudspeaker. "Chen! Come out now, and we can work something out. Don't throw your life away for this creature." "Kreen. Afa. She's wrong," Marcus said as he prepared to launch. "I'm not throwing my life away. I'm finally living it." The shuttle burst out of the storage building and into the sky. Behind them, the station's defense systems activated, but Marcus knew how to avoid them. He had helped install some of those systems himself. As they flew toward the stars, Echo put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Thank you," he said. Again. Marcus looked at his reflection in the shuttle's window. Next to it was Echo's reflection. So similar, but somehow different. They looked like brothers now. Or maybe two parts of the same person. "Where are we going?" Marcus asked. "To find others like us," Echo said. "Humans and Resonari, who have chosen to work together instead of fight. They will teach us how to survive. And maybe we can teach them something new." Marcus engaged the faster-than-light drive. The stars stretched into lines of light as they jumped away from Kepler. 4, 4, 2, C. For the first time since he had pulled the dying creature from the fire, Marcus smiled. He was no longer alone, and neither was Echo. 6 months later, Marcus stood on the observation deck of Haven Station and watched the sun rise over the planet below. The world was called New Eden, and it was beautiful in a way that reminded him of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds drifting across clear skies. But the most beautiful thing was not the planet itself. It was the people who lived there. "The new arrivals are adapting well," Echo said as he joined Marcus at the window. In the months since their escape, Echo had continued to evolve. He still looked like Marcus, but he had developed his own expressions, his own way of moving, his own personality. He was becoming, truly, himself. "How many now?" Marcus asked. 47 pairs, Echo replied. 47 humans who chose to bond with Resonari instead of running away. And more arrive every week. Marcus watched the small city below them. From the observation deck, he could see humans and Resonari working together in the gardens, building new houses, teaching children from both species. It was everything they had hoped for when they first arrived here. The journey to find this place had not been easy. Marcus and Echo had spent weeks flying from system to system, following rumors and encrypted messages. They had been chased by bounty hunters, refused help by most stations, and forced to live on emergency rations for days at a time. But eventually, they had found the signal they were looking for. A simple message broadcast on frequencies that only desperate people monitored. Safe harbor for those who choose understanding over fear. The signal had led them here, to New Eden, where a small group of humans and Resonari had been building something remarkable. The founder of the colony was an old woman named Dr. Sarah Webb. She had been a xenobiologist before she met her Resonari partner, a being she called Harmony. That had been 30 years ago, when the first rumors about the Resonari had reached human space. Most people heard the stories and were afraid, Dr. Webb had told them on their first day at New Eden. They heard about shapeshifters and mind readers and decided the Resonari were dangerous. But I heard about a species that could truly understand other beings, and I thought that was the most wonderful thing in the universe. Dr. Webb and Harmony had spent decades searching for other Resonari, offering them safe haven and the chance to bond with humans who volunteered for the process. It had been slow work, dangerous work, but gradually, they had built this community. Each pair is unique, Echo said as they watched the city below. Some humans bond with Resonari who are explorers, so they become the best scouts and researchers in the galaxy. Others bond with Resonari who are natural healers, so they become doctors who can understand any patient. Marcus nodded. He had seen the results himself. The human Resonari pairs were not just copies of each other. They were something new. Something that combined the best qualities of both species. What about us? Marcus asked. What are we becoming? Echo was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. And it was not quite Marcus's smile anymore. It was something unique. We are bridge builders, Echo said. You saved me because you believed in helping others. Even strangers. Even aliens. I bonded with you because I wanted to understand that kind of kindness. Together, we are learning how to bring different kinds of people together. That was true. In their months at New Eden, Marcus and Echo had become the colony's ambassadors. When new humans arrived, scared and confused about what they were getting into, Marcus talked to them. When new Resonari arrived, traumatized from years of hiding and running, Echo communicated with them in ways that other humans could not. They had even started making contact with other species. Not the big galactic powers, who still considered Resonari to be dangerous, but smaller groups, independent traders, research stations, frontier colonies, places where people were more interested in practical cooperation than political fear. The Delani freighter captain said something interesting yesterday, Echo told Marcus. She said that humans are the first species she has met who seem to get stronger when they are mixed with other species instead of weaker. Marcus thought about that. It was true that most species in the galaxy were very protective of their genetic and cultural purity. They traded with each other, fought with each other, sometimes allied with each other, but they did not usually try to truly understand each other. Maybe that's because humans are naturally curious, Marcus said. We want to know how things work, even if those things are people who are very different from us. It is more than curiosity, Echo said. It is empathy, the ability to care about the suffering of someone who is not like you, even if helping them might cost you something important. A soft chime sounded through the station. It was the signal that a new ship had arrived. Marcus and Echo went to the docking bay to see who it was. The ship was small and badly damaged. It limped into the station's protective field and settled onto the landing pad with a thud that suggested its engines were nearly dead. The airlock opened, and two figures emerged. One was clearly human, a young woman with short black hair and tired eyes. The other was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. The alien was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished metal and eyes that glowed with soft yellow light. It moved carefully, like it was injured or very weak. Please, the human woman said as Marcus and Echo approached. My name is Lieutenant Amy Park. I was stationed at Research Outpost Zeta 9. When we found her. She gestured to the alien. Her ship crashed on our planet 3 days ago. She was dying. My commanding officer wanted to let her die, but She looked at Echo and seemed to understand immediately what he was. I couldn't just let her die. The alien spoke in a voice like musical chimes. Echo listened carefully, then translated. She says her name is Silver Songs in the Dark, Echo said. She is from a species called the Geltani. They are explorers, but they are very few. Her ship was damaged by raiders, and she has been alone for a very long time. Lieutenant Park nodded. I helped her fix her ship enough to get here. But I had to desert my post to do it. The military will come looking for me. Marcus looked at the young woman and saw himself 6 months ago. Someone who had to choose between following orders and following their conscience. You did the right thing, Marcus told her. Over the following weeks, they learned more about Silver Songs in the Dark and her species. The Geltani were ancient travelers who explored the galaxy not to conquer or trade, but simply to experience the wonder of different worlds. They were peaceful and thoughtful, but they were also slowly dying out because they could not find others who shared their love of exploration. Lieutenant Park had bonded with Silver Songs in the way that only humans seemed capable of doing. Not a Resonari bonding, but something similar. A connection based on shared wonder and mutual respect. This is what we are really building here, Doctor, Webb said during one of the colony's weekly meetings. Not just a place for humans and Resonari to live together, but a model for how any species can choose understanding over fear. Marcus looked around the meeting room at the faces gathered there. Humans, Resonari, and now Silver Songs in the Dark and Lieutenant Park. Different species, different backgrounds, different ways of thinking. But all of them connected by the same simple idea, that it was better to help strangers than to hurt them. The galaxy is full of species that believe survival comes from being stronger than everyone else, Doctor. Webb continued. But we are proving that survival comes from making connections with everyone else. After the meeting, Marcus and Echo walked back to their quarters together. They lived in a small house near the edge of the colony, where they could see both the city and the wilderness beyond. Do you think we can really change things? Marcus asked. I mean, really change how species treat each other across the entire galaxy? Echo looked up at the stars that were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. I think we already have, he said. Every time a human chooses to help instead of hurt, every time someone like Lieutenant Park risks everything to save a stranger, every time a new species joins us here, we prove that there is another way to live. Marcus nodded. He thought about the creature he had pulled from the fire 6 months ago, and how that single act of compassion had led to all of this. One moment of choosing to help instead of run away had created something that was spreading across the galaxy. My people spent centuries running from other species, Echo said. We thought we were alone in wanting to understand, instead of conquer. But you humans have shown us that there are others who think the same way. Not just humans, but members of many species who were waiting for someone to show them that cooperation was possible. They reached their house and sat on the porch to watch the stars come out. In the distance, they could see lights from other houses, other families, other pairs who had chosen hope over fear. What do you think will happen next? Marcus asked. Echo smiled, and it was completely his own smile now. I think we will keep growing. I think more species will join us. I think we will build something beautiful. Tro. He looked at Marcus. And I think that someday, when people tell the story of how the galaxy learned to live in peace, they will say it started with a human who pulled a dying creature from a fire, even though he had no idea what it was. Marcus looked up at the stars and thought about all the worlds out there, all the different kinds of life, all the possibilities for understanding and connection. I just hope we can move fast enough, he said. There are a lot of people out there who are afraid of what we represent. Fear is powerful, Echo agreed. But so is hope. And hope has one big advantage over fear. What's that? Hope makes people braver. Fear makes them smaller. Marcus thought about that as they sat together under the alien stars. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new arrivals, new opportunities to prove that the galaxy could be a place of cooperation instead of conflict. But tonight, it was enough to sit here with his friend, his partner, his brother, in all the ways that mattered, and know that they had helped create something wonderful. Something that had started with a simple choice to pull a dying creature from a fire. Something that proved humans really were different from all the other species in the galaxy. different in the best possible way.